everybody. Welcome to Most Wanted Topics. I'm your host, Kevin Dennison. Along with me is the Atomic Tommy. How you doing today, Atomic Tommy?
Man, I'm excited for this show.
Oh, we've got a banger of a show. I tell you what, we are broadcasting right here from our studio in our store, Most Wanted Comics, here in beautiful Bloomington, Minnesota. And I tell you what, we have a busy week coming up. Boy, I tell you, we've got the comic crawl coming on Saturday. We've got former Viking linebacker and special team specialist Don Terrius Thomas coming in to sign autographs from 11 to 1. People have asked, why the heck is Most Wanted Comics having a former Viking in for a signing? Well, I tell you what, we've had Kevin Tapney here. We also, sell sports cards. Now, we're not a major deal, but we are Upper Deck certified. We sell Marvel cards. We sell sports cards. We sell hockey cards. I tell you, we dabble. We dabble in sports cards a little bit. We have some awesome singles, and we may not carry the most packs in the world, but we are dangerous with our singles.
I would say that we do a little bit more than dabble. I mean, we have a killer selection of sports cards, ranging, football, basketball, baseball, hockey when the season demands it. I mean, we're nothing to sneeze at, right? Yeah, do we have the size and the space of other card shops? Absolutely not. But we have the selection.
We do have a selection. We have the top players.
Yep.
We have the top players. You want Ellie De La Cruz? Got it. You want Aaron Judge? Got it. Yep. You want Dominguez? Got it. You want Tatis Jr.? Got it. Then let's go that. You want Bobby Witt Jr.? Got it. You want Royce Lewis? Got it.
Yep.
Tell you what. Pat Mahomes. We've got tons of Connor Bedard. We got Caitlin Clarks. Mm-hmm. Don't sleep on us with our singles, everybody. But yes, let's get back to the most important part: comics and our signing. Comic crawl, bunch of participating locations. You can see the address right up here. Make sure that you check it out. Our store will be doing a special for the comic crawl. We will have 30% off sets and bundles. And we will also have 30% off our trade paperbacks and hardcovers. And we'll also have a few banger blowout comics with dollar comics and a couple of $2 comic boxes. We'll have other surprises too, so make sure you stop by the store. And then from 11 to 1, if you're a Viking fan, we've got a killer affordable family package, $20. And that gets you an 8x10 photo, an autograph from Don Terrius Thomas, and a selfie with Don Terrius Thomas. $20. You get the 8x10, the autograph, and the selfie. Otherwise, if you don't want to do the 8x10, you got your own product. It's just $15 for the autograph. Yep. And if you want to do the selfie with it, it's another $5 after that. So affordable pricing, fun for the whole family. You want to meet a former Viking, you have a chance to ask what it's like to play in the NFL. Don Terrius Thomas, super nice guy. Ready to see the fans. Former Viking, kicking off training camp week, so that's why he's coming in. We're kicking off the start of training camp, and then in October, as we start the football season, we have former Viking great offensive lineman Tim Irwin coming.
Absolutely, yep.
And October 18th is going to be a big night, 5 to 7 p.m. He'll be here, rocking it out at Most Wanted Comics. We are so excited and honored to have him at our store. We also have another surprise coming. We're hoping to announce pretty soon. We're going to start going back to our comic pros.
Yep. Coming
to the store, so stay tuned for that.
We are a comic store after all.
We are mainly a comic store, but we just wanted to advertise because some people don't know that we sell toys, vintage toys, collectibles. When we sell sports cards, so we're just doing a better job of advertising what we sell. If you haven't seen the store, make sure you come out and visit. If you like what you see, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to this channel. So let's talk about this week. Let's talk about what came out, because everyone wants to know your thoughts on X-Men 1.
Yeah.
And of course that was out there. So let's hear what came out and then what's to come. Atomic Tommy, take it away.
Yeah, X-Men 1, we're going to get to that, but there was one more book that came out this week, that I wanted to mention. You might not have guessed it, but this new Primer series. Primer, what the hell is Primer? Well, Primer is a newer DC character introduced within the last year or two. And it's not a character that I'm particularly interested in or care about. You can probably see on the cover why I'm even talking about it right now. It's a character meant for a younger demographic, a younger audience, not really, a character for me or a character I particularly care in. I don't know anything about this character until I read this issue. And quite frankly, the only reason why I'm talking about it right now is because the Teen Titans are in this book. And not just any version of the Teen Titans, but the Teen Titans from the 2000s cartoon, which, in my opinion, is one of the best superhero cartoons ever made. I grew up with that. No disrespect to Teen Titans Go. That has a place, but the original Teen Titans, that show is way better. And honestly, this book was, I am not too familiar with the writer of this primer book here, but they absolutely knocked it out of the park with how they wrote the Teen Titans. I mean, it was just like watching an episode of the show. It was really cool. It was really fun. I really enjoy it. And, it allowed us to see a more, I guess, licensed version, with a little more freedom with these characters. Because if you kind of remember back to that show, they weren't really allowed to call Deathstroke because of licensing, problems and all that stuff. Well, that's not the case here. And it's really kind of cool to see them in a comic format where there's just kind of less restrictions around it. But anyway, I wanted to bring it up to mostly just because to prolong, the X-Men, right? Make you guys wait a little bit more. But also because this was
it gives someone a chance to read something else.
Yeah, it was kind of new. It was a fun read. Again, it's nothing to be taken super seriously. It's a kid's comic pretty much, so let's dial it back. But X-Men. It's time for X-Men. Now, I've seen a surprising amount of sort of backlash about this X-Men #1 on the internet. And some of it's warranted, some of it's not, right? I've seen a lot of people come out there and say, it's not as good as Krakoa, or it's just not the art's blah, the art this blah, right? And I think part of it is just stemming from the fact that Krakoa, a lot of people loved that stuff. A lot of people loved the Krakoan X-Men age, and now it's over. And it kind of does feel like, just given this, that we're kind of starting over a little bit in X-Men. They brought them all back to sort of one place, all these different teams, consolidated the characters a little bit more, and sort of took X-Men back, I think, a few steps from what Krakoa was ultimately trying to do. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because at the end of the day, Krakoa, that X-Men stuff lasted like 5 years, and it got really confusing by the end of it. I am someone who has not read a ton of X-Men in my life. I don't really know the whole Krakoa story. I haven't read much of it beyond some of Hickman's stuff, early in the age. And every time, in recent years, last year, whatever, I would try to pick up an X-Men book, I'd just be completely lost.
Well, it did get a little convoluted.
It was incredibly convoluted. It was incredibly confusing, and it needed a reboot. And if we look at the time, where X-Men is in the culture right now, we're still coming off the tails of 97, which was arguably the only Marvel MCU project in the last 5 years to not only be unanimously loved by the majority of the fan base, but also get people interested in reading the source material.
It really kicked a spark to have people get back into X-Men.
Yeah, I can't think of an MCU project that's come out since Endgame that's really inspired people to read the comics like X-Men 97 has. And
it just reinvigorated the fan base.
Right. And to any returning X-Men fan or new X-Men fan, sort of like myself, who hasn't really read a ton of X-Men, we're left with two choices. Either try and hunt down and read all of the Krakoan stuff and keep up, and try and understand what's going on because it's really confusing, or just wait for the reboot #1 coming out.
Yep. I tell you what, I have to agree with Tommy on this one. Don't go all Star Wars on this, where it has to be perfect. Start over with this one. It is consolidated. It's more concise. It's not a million X-Men running around out there.
Right.
They've got their own titles in their own space, and I think it is a great jumping on point to start with the X-Men, so give it a shot.
Right.
Give it a shot.
Now, all that being said, okay, it was not a perfect X-Men book. There were a lot of problems with it. One, the art done by Ryan Stegman. I'm a Ryan Stegman fan. I think the art, the penciling in this book, it's really good. That's just my own personal opinion, though. Where I will agree with some of the criticism is in the coloring. Beast looks like a ghoul. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with the eyes up there, but he kind of looks like a ghoul. So I agree with that.
That is true. The coloring didn't really work.
The coloring is a little off at times too. and I agree with this. A lot of people are also saying that, it could have been handled better. They could have picked up in a better spot. They could have caught people up better. And I 100% agree with that. I've seen a couple of people on the internet say, I was completely lost reading this book. I have no idea what's going on. And while I understand that, I don't really feel that way. I wasn't really lost reading X-Men #1.
No, it's issue 1. You're not going to get lost yet. You can
still kind of, they reference back to stuff that happened, in past X-Men books for Cohen stuff. And while you're missing out on that context, I feel that you can still get a sort of basic grasp of what's going on, even having not read it. I do think, and I do agree that it could have been handled better. This X-Men team is made up of characters that a lot of people, myself included, probably aren't too familiar with. Kid Omega has been around for a while, but I don't really know much about Kid Omega, and I wish they maybe would have given some sort of, on the first page of the book, a little synopsis, right? Is this a new Psylocke? I don't know, right? What's the deal with this Colossus? What's the deal with Temper? I don't know who these characters are, and I do agree that I don't think the book did a great job of telling us who they are and why they're on the X-Men. Why are they on the proper X-Men team?
Yeah, there could have been a little more care to the review for the new reader.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I also think that, I think that there's a lot of people just like looking for reasons to not like it because it's not Krakoan X-Men.
Yeah, after all, it is the X-Men, so if you're a fan of X-Men, you're going to know who these characters are.
Right.
But I also agree with the fact that as this is a new jumping on point, you're getting new readership, you should review some of these new characters.
Now, I'm not saying that, obviously you're free to like or not like whatever you want. But I do see that there's a lot of people out there who think that there was a lot more story to be told in Krakoa. And I'm not saying that that's wrong, but to a new reader who doesn't know shit about Krakoa, that doesn't really hold, like, that's not gonna do anything for your case, right? So there are criticisms that are valid. There are some that I think are just kind of, looking back and wishing things were different. And I understand that, but my take, sum it up, I guess, I thought the book was fine. I didn't really think it was anything, egregious. I don't think this is I see also people saying like, this is my jumping off point of X-Men. Okay.
Okay, dude, right. Whatever. But, you just want attention.
But it's like, I thought it's fine. Was it outstanding? No. Right? Could it have been better? Absolutely. But it was not as bad as I think people are making it out to be.
Yeah. Nobody should have a poopy diaper over issue 1.
Now,
all I can say is, it's like direct mail, Tommy. They say it takes 3 times for an ad to work. And direct mail comes, you have to see at least 3 times. With comics, to really get into it, it's about 5 issues.
Right.
You got to give it a few issues here.
Yeah.
You can't just read the first issue, but this sucks, I'm out of it. It's a 12-page.
Now, the thing that I think is a little strange, story-wise, right? Because I've been talking about it, but I haven't really gotten into much of what actually happened in the book. There were a few things that do kind of concern me on the overall continuity of this new X-Men timeline, because Wolverine, and this is spoilers, by the way, okay? So we see Wolverine was captured by some Orcus remnants. Now, I'm not going to go into who Orcus is, okay? There's a million people on YouTube who can explain it. But Wolverine's captured. I don't really know why. They don't really explain to us why. We only see that the X-Men, Cyclops and the team, are going to rescue their guys. We don't know that it's Wolverine. We don't know why Wolverine's been captured. We just find out that it's Wolverine. That's, again, one of those things that I think they could have done a better job explaining of. The other thing that kind of concerns me is that Wolverine, at the end of the book, went off saying, I've been fighting too long, bub. I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm not an X-Men anymore. But we know from all the previews, all the promos, that he's a main character in Uncanny X-Men. So I don't know if there's like if there's going to be sort of like a time gap or something happens or Wolverine just immediately jumps back in. But I'm a little bit worried about the continuity of these X-Men titles if this is how we're starting. But,
well, we'll find out.
Right. But beyond that, I thought the book was fine. Everybody needs to calm down.
Yeah, give peace a chance.
Okay.
Give peace a chance.
With that being said, coming up this week, there's a lot coming out this week. I had to write it down. I don't usually do that, but
it is a big week.
On the DC side, I told you guys I'd keep you guys up to date on all the Elseworld stuff, and that's And so we got Dark Knights of Steel, All Winter #1, coming out this week. Another Elseworlds title. You know, I love my Elseworlds. This one, I believe, is being written by Tom Taylor, who is probably DC's best Elseworlds writer. I mean, he's done Deceased, he's done Injustice, two incredible sort of Elseworlds. You know, Injustice is obviously a spin-off of the game, whatever, but it is still an Elseworlds title. And now Dark Knights of Steel, All Winter. The Dark Knights of Steel that came out, I think it was like 2021 or 2. That was incredibly popular. A lot of people liked it. I liked it. So that returns. Powerpuff Girls #1. Powerpuff Girls getting their own comic book.
Sweet.
That comes out this week. All right. Also, Daredevil. Moving over to Marvel. Woman Without Fear #1. A new Elektra Daredevil story.
Should be good.
Should be good. I'm a Daredevil fan. Good. I like Elektra as Daredevil, so that'll be cool. We got Namor #1. You know, Namor is another one of those characters that is always kind of around in Marvel, but not really used a lot these days. You know, back in the Silver Age,
well,
back in the day.
The Aquaman, is it Aquaman or Namor? Who do you prefer?
I think Aquaman is cooler, but we don't need to have that debate.
It's the two Aquaman.
You know, back in the day, though, the 60s, the Silver Age, dude, the Submariner was... Everybody loved the Submariner back in the day.
He was top cat, no doubt about it.
Now... he's always kind of there, but never really does anything with him. Well, he's getting his own title here, Namor #1. Also, X-Men Roaring into High Gear, we got Phoenix #1. Oh, boy.
Continuing with the X-Men, that's great. Hey, we got to do a couple shout-outs here real quick.
We do.
We got to do the two Brians, Brian M. and Brian H. Thank you. Hey, Matt and JD, as always, shout out to you. Jeff, shout out to you. Mark, shout out to you. Got to tell you what, the Gostovich family, Scott and the boys, got to give them a shout out too. Sheila, Shanice, shout out to you guys as well. And Robert, we want to give a shout out to Robert this time. That's our shout outs for this week. If you didn't make the cut this week, Caleb, sorry, forgot to end the Souser.
And the Souser.
We hope you're coming along better. Souser's a little ill, and we wish him the best and a quick and speedy recovery. So our thoughts and prayers, hopefully he gets better soon. And with that, we also have mark your calendars, and we've been advertising this for a while. The 27th, we got the Honky Tonk Man.
Honky Tonk Man.
The greatest intercontinental champion of all time. The Honky Tonk Man will be here from 10:30 to 2:30 signing autographs and taking pictures. So we encourage everybody to get on Facebook. Most Wanted Comics on Facebook. Follow our YouTube. Follow our website, mostwantedcomics.com. For all the information, we have events. We have store insights. And it'll always keep you informed of what's going on. So make sure you follow along on our website, our Facebook, and all our social media, and see what's going on. And then also, we're hoping to have a big announcement next week on another guest. We're hoping, we can't guarantee it, but we're hoping to wrap it up next week. I'd like to wrap it up so we can get it announced and on the books.
Yeah.
And with that, anything else, Atomic Tommy?
No, I think we're good.
We think we're good. All right. Atomic Tommy says we're good. That means we are good. Next week, also, we're going to bring in the Mighty Mafu. We're going to talk about a teaser from what's coming out with the Rattler. Yep. And we're going to have to talk about our thoughts about that one. And then also, I think he's going to do a short on his take for a moment with the Mafu this week.
Yep.
So, all right. With that being said, you guys have a great week. Remember, mark your calendars for the 20th and the 27th for both events here at Most Wanted Comics.
Back to back.
Go to mostwantedcomics.com for all the details, and we'll see everybody next week.